Good afternoon. Before we start off with your lunchtime bulletin, this is breaking news. The Mahanayaka Theros have addressed a letter to the President urging he not implement the 13th Amendment to the Constitution that would lead to serious issues with respect to the country's independence, territorial integrity and national security. Now, the Mahanayaka Theros noted that the President's statement on the full implementation of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution had created a state of confusion in the country. Now, the Mahanayaka Theros also noted that the provision of police and land powers and related matters in the 13th Amendment to the Constitution would further pave the way to divisions in the country. Now, before we move on, let's have a look at your headlines this afternoon.
The depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal has entered Sri Lanka. Government issues circular slashing the expenditure of state institutions. Protests continue against the unjust tax regime. Three-wheeler fares will not be increased despite the increase in petrol prices. Electricity Users Association want the Power and Energy Minister arrested. SJB's Sumedha Aruna Shantha appointed as the new mayor of Kurunegala.
And in news received just a short while ago, the Ceylon Electricity Board has assured the Supreme Court that it would refrain from imposing power cuts until the contempt of court application filed by the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka is taken up for consideration and the matter is concluded. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka moved to the Supreme Court against the Ceylon Electricity Board for failing to follow the directive to provide an uninterrupted supply of electricity until the end of the GCE Advanced Level Examination. Now, President's Counsel Udita Egalaheva, appearing for the Ceylon Electricity Board, made the assurance to the court and pointed out that during the said period, no power outage will take place. Now, the matter was called up in the presence of Supreme Court Justices P. Padman, Surasena, Yasanta Kodagoda and Shiran Gunaratna as well on Thursday. And we'll move on to your weather now. According to the Met Department, the depression over southwest Bay of Bengal has entered through the east coast of Sri Lanka and it is moving across the country. Now, due to this, heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely in some places in the northern, north central, eastern and Uva provinces and in Puttalam district as well. Now, multiple areas of the island were affected by heavy rains and strong winds since Wednesday.
According to Newsfirst correspondents, many areas in the Polonnaruwa district were experiencing strong winds since midnight yesterday. Gale winds and heavy rains uprooted trees in some areas and some of those trees fell onto electricity transmission cables, leading to power outages. Vehicular movement along the Thambalaveva road between Navanagare and Jayantipura was disrupted after trees uprooted and fell onto the road. A coconut tree fell onto the house in Navanagare in Polonnaruwa. No injuries were reported. Two official residences of the National Faculty of Education in Pulatisipura, Polonnaruwa were damaged after a tree collapsed following strong winds. Meanwhile, several trees collapsed onto properties in Kallale and Majipuram in the Polonnaruwa district. A rubber tree fell onto the office of the Horana Assistant Superintendent of Police yesterday afternoon. Newsfirst correspondent reported that no one was injured in the incident. Several trees were uprooted in Trincomalee yesterday. Meanwhile, the Met Department says a cloudy sky will prevail over most parts of the island, and showers or thunder showers will occur at times in northern, north central and eastern provinces. Strong winds about 40 to 50 km per hour can be expected at times over the northern, north central, eastern and northwestern provinces. The naval and fishing communities are advised not to venture into the above mentioned sea areas during the next 24 hours.
Moving on to other local news, the Sri Lankan Airlines branch of the Inter-Company Employees Union distributed leaflets on Thursday in Katunayake to raise awareness against the government's unjust tax policy.
The Sri Lankan Airlines branch of the Inter-Company Employees Union distributed leaflets on Thursday under the banner "Join Against the Unjust Tax Policy to Protect Workers' Salaries."
මිනිස්සුන්ට බදු ගහන්නේ ඇයි? ඒ බදු ගැහිම තුලින් ඔව් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මොකක්ද?
Why are the people being taxed? What is expected with these tax? What is the benefit to the people from these taxes? These are the questions of the people. There is no relief to the people from the taxes that are being imposed for the alleged development of the country. Professionals are leaving the country and the country is sinking into a worse state. Ranil Rajapaksha's government must be blamed for all of this.
කියන එක අපි මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කර තිනවා. මේ බදු ප්‍රතිපත්තිය හමුවේ
These tax policies have resulted in brain drain of the country. It has come to a point that the pilots, engineers, technicians in the Airlines Guild are leaving the country. Ranil Wickremesinghe is not a president who came about through the mandate of the people. They ask for another phase of the Aragale. I am ready to do that. Immediately take down these unfair tax policies without burdening the people even more. Until these tax policies are abolished, we will not stop this struggle.
The Professionals Trade Union Collective said that they expect an acceptable change to the government's new tax policy. The Government Medical Officers Association said that the Professionals Trade Union Collective will meet on Friday for a special meeting to review the present status. The Sri Lanka Nidahas Sevaka Sangame of the Ports Authority warned that if the unjust tax regime is not withdrawn, a massive trade union action will be launched from the 14th of February 2023.
Moving on to other news, the government has issued a new circular for the management of state expenditure intending to reduce the adverse consequences that may arise as a result of the difficulties in the raising the estimate government revenue for the year 2023. Now, according to this circular, the recurrent expenditure earmarked for this year in all ministries and departments will be slashed by 6%.
The Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policy said that salaries and wages of all ministries and departments, medical supplies, rent and local government tax, retirement benefits are not applicable for this circular. The ministry also said that only the money allocated for the budget can be utilized for interest payments for domestic and foreign loans, discounts on treasury bills and treasury bonds, essential welfare payments and statutory or contractual obligations. According to the new circular, minimum provision equal to 6% for all other recurring expenses should be slashed. The circular does not affect welfare programs such as providing relief to people affected by the difficult economic situation, Samurdhi allowances, senior citizen allowances, allowances for kidney patients and people with disabilities, nutritional food packages for pregnant mothers, breakfast for preschool children, nutrition program for children suffering from acute malnutrition, as well as nutrition programs for schools. A special traffic plan will be in place for the 75th Independence Day celebrations in Colombo. Galle Road from Baladakshamawata Junction to Galle Face Roundabout will be closed from 2 p.m. on the 3rd of February, that is Friday, until the end of Independence Day celebrations on Saturday. Marine Drive from Bambalapitiya Railway Station to Kolpiti Junction will be closed from 6 p.m. on Friday the 3rd to 10 a.m. on Saturday the 4th. However, the residents of relevant areas and staff members travelling to their workplace will not be inconvenienced by this special traffic plan. Motorists using these roads are advised to use alternative roads for the time being, and following the conclusion of the Independence Day celebrations, all these roads will be open for the public.
All Island Three-Wheeler Drivers Association announced that three-wheeler fares will not be increased despite an increase in the petrol prices.
පෙට්‍රල් මිල අඩු වැඩි වෙන හැම අවස්ථාවකදීම ව්‍යාකූල භාවයක් සමස්ත ගුලි තිරෝධන මගී ප්‍රවාහන සේවාවට ඇති වෙනවා.
Whenever the prices of petrol is increased or reduced, it impacts the three-wheeler passenger transport service. The passengers and the three-wheeler drivers become confused over the fare. There is no regulation of three-wheelers and the fares. We are operating in such a situation. We only get 5 litres per week. However, the price of petrol was increased by 30 rupees per litre. Yet we have decided not to increase the fares, and we will not make any proposal to do so. We do not approve of any fare hike despite the increase in petrol prices. If passengers are unfairly charged, they can reject the fare and refuse to travel in the three-wheeler.
මගියට අපි කියනවා අසාධාරණ අය කළොත් වහාම ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කළ දාන්න යන්න එපා වෙන ත්‍රිවිල් එක.
The price of a litre of 92-octane petrol was increased by 30 rupees with effect from midnight on Wednesday, and the new price is 400 rupees. The general public say it is difficult to cope with the rising cost of living.
මිනිසුන්ගේ වැඩකර ඉල්ලන්නත් බෑ මිනිස්සු තනාත වෙලා ඉන්න වෙලාවේ. ඉතින් මේ වගේ වෙලාවක මේ රුපියල් 30කින් වැඩි කරන්නේ අපිට ලෝක අසාධාරණයක් මේක.
එයාලා මේ නිදහසක් කියලා සමරනගේ පෙට්‍රෝල් මිල අඩු කරන්න බැරි කමක් නෑ නේ.
මේගොල්ලන්ගේ මේ නොහැකියාව මේ සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාවගෙන් මේ ඔක්කොම කරපිට පටවලා දෙන පුට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් අපි කිය කරි හම්බ කරලා ඒගොල්ලන්ව නඩත්තු කරවන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ රටේ අපරාධ මේ ආණ්ඩුවක්.
Meanwhile, the National Secretary of the Electricity Users Association, Sanjeeva Dhammika, says that the Energy Minister who adds more to the burden of the people must be arrested.
අද ළමයිට තෙල් ටික දෙන්න බෑ නැප්තා ටික.
They can't give us the fuel. They are hiding the naphtha. They aren't giving us the naphtha that is needed. But they have fuel for planes, for air shows. They have fuel to travel from Kolpiti to Dewlapitiya to arrest us. If they told us, we would have spent around 500 rupees and come to them. This minister cannot even provide the necessary fuel for A-level students to write for the A-level exams, and the cabinet ministers have no understanding of what the people go through. The Minister of Power and Energy, who makes the woes of the people worse, and the other officers, including the secretary and their entire team, must be taken into custody. We must bring a vote of no confidence against Minister Kanchana, who works against the people.
එහෙනම් වහාම මේ අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න කටයුතු කරන්න. අපි කියනවා මේ ජනවෛරී කාංචන ඇමතිවරයාට විරුද්ධව කටයුතු කරන්න විශ්වාස භංගයක් ගේන්න ඕන කියලා.
Sri Lanka, the election headquarters.
Now the talk of the town is the elections. Now the leader of the National People's Power, Andrukumara Dissanayake, says all those who come into power only worry about their privileges instead of solving the people's problems.
Leader of the National People's Power, Andrukumara Dissanayake, made these comments yesterday while participating in a rally in Eragama, Ampara.
දැන් ගම්වල ඉන්න අපි ඔක්කොම දන්න මොකද්ද කරේ?
Even though governments were formed by the people, those who came to power filled their pockets. Governments are made to solve the people's problems, but those who come to power solve their own problems. If we are to form governments in this country, we need governments that solve the people's problems. The first thing we would do is stop corruption and wastage in this country. Not only that, stolen assets should also be recovered and those involved should be punished. When you take the ballot paper, there are so many symbols, but in reality there are only two sides. One group is those who protect the thieves. The other group is those who stop corruption and those who punish the thieves. We will develop law, education, and we will work to ensure national unity, and we will implement programs to improve agriculture in these villages to help uplift the mode of income.
අපි නීතිය හදනවා, අධ්‍යාපනය හදනවා, ජාතික සමගිය හදනවා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි මේ ගම්වල කුෂ්කර්මාන්තේ ප්‍රධාන ආදාය මාර්ග ඒක දිනු කරන්න සිල් වැඩ පිළිවෙල හදලා තියෙනවා.
Moving on to other news related to the election, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says under a Samagi Jana Balawege government, legal action will be taken against the Rajapaksa administration that brought ruin to the agriculture sector of the country.
Opposition leader expressed these views at a rally in the Verugal area.
මේ කෘෂිකාර්මික බල ප්‍රදේශයේ ඔබගේ ගොවිතැන හිතා මතාම විනාශ කරා.
The Rajapaksa administration intentionally ruined the agriculture in the country. Your cultivations have been affected by the shortage of fertilizer, weedicides and pesticides. They haven't paid any compensation to the farmers. By creating a shortage in fertilizer, weedicides and pesticides, they ruined your lives. Under SJB government, we will ensure compensation is paid from the pockets of the Rajapaksas.
හිතා මතාම ඒ අයගේ ජන ජීවිත කඩාකප්පල් කරලා වන්දිය අනාගත සමගි ජන බලවේග රජයක් තුල රාජපක්ෂ හොර පවුල් 70ට ගෙවන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා කියන එක මම තමුන්නාසල ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
Meanwhile, the movement to protect citizens' rights expressed the following views regarding the local government election and the 13th Amendment to the Constitution.
මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය ස්ථාපිත කිරීම උදෙසා මැතිවරණ පැවැත්විය යුතුයි.
In order to secure democracy in the country, elections must be held. This government, which is struggling to hold a local government election, is talking about power devolution among provinces. What is happening here? This is like planning a wedding without a bride. Don't make jokes like this. Ensure democracy in the country through elections. Hold local government elections accordingly. Before diverting power first, establish local governments by holding elections. After that, we can talk about power devolution. It is the responsibility of the government to protect the people's rights and ensure democracy through holding elections.
කැමැත්ත ප්‍රකාශ කිරීමට අවස්ථාව ලබා දීම ආණ්ඩුවක රජයක වගකීමක්.
On to a headline-making story, Sumedha Aruna Shanta from the Samagi Jana Balavegya was elected as the new mayor of Kurunegala by a majority vote. Sumedha Aruna, opposition leader of the Kurunegala Municipal Council, Vijayananda Verisinghe, contested for the post of mayor. Now, Sumedha Aruna Shanta secured 10 votes, while Vijayananda Verisinghe only obtained 6 votes. And in other local news, licensed miners and transporters in the Ampara district protested opposite the Ampara Regional Office of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau.
Licensed miners and transporters protested against the failure to extend their permits for rock, sand and earth for over 3 months. The group dispersed after the Ampara District Secretary arrived at the location and promised to provide a solution to the issue within 2 days.
The convener of the Inter-University Students Federation, Vasanta Mudalige, visited the University of Sri Jayawardenepura on Wednesday following his release.
The convener of the Inter-University Students Federation, Vasanta Mudalige, was released on bail on Wednesday after spending 167 days in detention and remand custody. On Tuesday, the 31st, the convener of the Inter-University Students Federation, Vasanta Mudalige, was released from the charges filed under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, and based on that, Council made a request for bail for 3 other cases filed against him. Upon considering the facts, the 4th Magistrates Court ordered to release Mudalige on bail.
And to news overseas, India's Adani Enterprises has called off its share sale after the share price plunged yesterday.
The Adani Group's flagship company confirmed the $2.5 billion raised from the sale would be returned to investors after shares fell 26%. The group's companies have seen more than $90 billion wiped off their value since the US investment firm made claims of fraud. Adani denies the allegations. Gautam Adani has fallen out of the top 10 richest in the world, and according to the Forbes real-time billionaires list, Adani is now the 15th richest person in the world, with a net worth of $74.7 billion. He was third on the list last week, but shares plunged 26.7% on Wednesday, taking the total fall in market value for the group over $90 billion according to Bloomberg. After the market closed, Adani Group said the company would return the share sale proceeds due to the unprecedented situation and the current market volatility. The billionaire runs Adani Group, one of India's biggest companies. The flagship company, Adani Enterprises, has operations in a wide range of industries including commodities trading, airports, utilities and renewable energy.
And on to a very interesting story that occurred in December last year. The number of people using Facebook daily grew to an average of 2 billion in December, about a quarter of the world's population.
The bigger than expected growth helped drive new optimism about the company, which has been under pressure as its costs rise and advertising sales slump. Shares in parent company Meta surged more than 15% in after-hours trade as boss Mark Zuckerberg declared 2023 the year of efficiency. He said he was focused on cost cuts. Meta, which also owns Instagram and WhatsApp, announced a major restructuring last year, including reducing office space and cutting 11,000 jobs, or about 13% of its staff. The firm said those moves cost it $4.6 billion last year, hitting its profits, which were almost cut in half. Still brought in $23.2 billion in profit for the year.
That's all the news for now. Await the brief at 30 throughout the evening for more news in brief. Bringing you the news from the news desk, I am Sandro Sasaki. Signing off. Take care.